What is up, everybody? Keith Jamison, aka Gator Guy 231, and I am here for the Fantasy Sports Insight Soccer Preview. And guys, my goodness, it's so good to be back and talking soccer. As a lot of y'all know, that is my number one game. Been the best for my bankroll and just by far the most enjoyable DFS sport to me. Not only just to be able to watch and follow along, but I just think the sweat that we get from it is beyond really any other DFS game. So if you're watching or listening, there's a decent chance that you agree. This is your first time. I do want to thank you for tuning in. I hope that my breakdown really does help you in your builds. We finally, first off, I guess, pour one out for the K-League, A-League, Turkey, all these little leagues that were trying to get us by before the big guys returned when COVID really started and, shut down a lot of the leagues. Personally, I'm just so happy to not have to, grind leagues that I just really don't watch or know about. Bundesliga is something that I personally watch every weekend when I get a chance. Know a lot of these players very well, so it should be a really good slate for us. So this is going to be DraftKings centered. Wasn't really excited about FanDuel when they launched, and thought when they had the 3-point cross, that could be a huge edge for better players. They dropped that all the way down to 0.5, and honestly now it's just pretty much a joke in my opinion. I'll mention a couple plays at the end of this, but we're going to stick to DraftKings. It's just a better soccer game and soccer experience at this point. So on DraftKings, $100,000 main prize pool, which is just almost unheard of in soccer. $10 buy-in, $20K to the first. So really hope somebody in the FSI community is able to take it down, or at least give it a good sweat. So let's go start like we normally do. We're going to go by odds, then we're going to go position by position. I do want to keep remind y'all I am going to mostly be talking about like cash and optimal strategies here. If you don't hear a guy that you like that's goal dependent, like by all means you need to still play him. I'm really going to be focusing on guys that give us a good floor or have pretty insanely good goal odds, typically from the biggest favorites. I'm not going to really be talking about very many speculative plays that, are going to get you 3DK or 30. They're not really going to be on my radar today. So let's start out. Schalke at Dortmund. That is a derby game. I'm going to actually pull up our cheat sheet real quick so you can follow along. This is something I post every single day for the soccer slates. Please take a look. It's just a really quick, easy access to really some of the most important things on soccer and, building your soccer lines, which is the odds and understanding who takes the sets. So Dortmund is the second biggest favorite at home for Schalke. This is a derby game. Hits Dortmund, who's second versus sixth in the table. I think you're going to see I'm a little cautious at this game just because of the stakes and because of what the teams past history are. I don't necessarily think it's something that we just want to like automatically run to just from notoriety. Freiburg's at Leipzig. That's third versus eighth. Leipzig is the biggest favorite on the slate. They're just an offensive powerhouse. So is Dortmund, but I think based on matchup, Leipzig has actually a better chance to really potentially blow the slate open. Just their style, like especially if you watch that Spurs games in the Champions League, they can really overwhelm a team. So I think you're going to see a lot of good options from there. The next three we're going to be stopping. The final game is just going to be a showdown. But the next three are pretty square games. So we have Berlin at Hoffenheim. Berlin ninth in the table versus 13th. Hoffenheim, though, a slight favorite, plus 112. Wolfsburg at Augsburg. Wolfsburg seventh in the table versus Augsburg's 14th. Wolfsburg would have been favored at home, slight favorite on the road. One thing to keep in mind to Wolfsburg, they're a really, really like well-organized, great defensive team. So it's tough to fall too much in love with that game because even on the other side, they don't produce insanely good DFS stat. Arnold and Bracalo, as you see there, are like really the only two I could target. But neither one is a guy that, you feel great that's going to get you 15 to 20 floor every single time. Final game is Paderborn and Fortuna. This is the bottom of the table matchup, which, we've seen like an EPL and say in the past. That can really be a lot of fantasy goodness. All right, and with the odds out of the way, we are going to jump right into the picks. So we're going to start out at the forward position. At the top of the pricing table, we see Jadon Sancho, who has been probably close to the player of the year in Germany. He 14 goals and 15 assists in 23 games is just absurd. That said, he is questionable for this game. When I've done a little bit more research, though, I didn't see too much of people really predicting him out. So I do think that we'll still see him in. 10-8 is tough, but he does have a large majority of the set share, as well as being involved in a ton of scoring. One thing I'm going to keep harping on is Dortmund's like DFS value from like a floor perspective is not great. You really are looking for the goals and assists with them, which, they score plenty. But again, I mentioned that this matchup is tough, so I think I'm going to shy away from Sancho. Like if I'm up there, I probably would much rather pay for Timo Werner or Nkunku. So Werner, he does not have any sets. It's all goals and shots, but he takes a shit ton of both of shots that leads to a ton of goals. Sometimes plays out wide, but mostly is tucking in and going centrally. So it's kind of like a tandem with Schick. But I do think if, from just a goal scoring perspective, he has more ceiling than anybody else in the slate. Haaland, I'm sure will be super popular at 10-2. If you're following soccer, you know about the Wonder Kid. But again, I think GPP only first off. And then secondly, again, if I'm spending up, it's probably going to be for Werner or the next guy, Nkunku versus Haaland. And then maybe if you want to go like off the board, you go Schick. But let's go to Nkunku that I've already mentioned twice. So he takes half the sets for Leipzig, but also plays in kind of an advanced attacking role. Just been awesome. I believe former PSG guy. They kind of just discarded him, and then just has been insanely good for Leipzig this year. If we look, he had a game a couple of months ago where he put up, I think it was 48 DK. Yeah, 48 DK, 4 assists, 9 shots assisted, 4 crosses, 4 fouls drawn. Obviously, that's an outlier. That's really skewing his points per game, but 4 goals, 12 assists, biggest favorite on the slate. I did have sticker shock. I was expecting him to be like 75, 8,000 when I opened up the slate. So 9,700 immediately scared me. But if the more you build, you can definitely play him and fit him. Just going to be a comfort level. I think that, a fair projection for him is in that 12 to 15 range, which is fine for his price tag. Let's go down the list. So for some reason, if Sancho does miss, Hazard would go into like a more of a set-taking role at 8,900 to get some Dortmund exposure. I think that makes sense. I don't know if I'll go there even if Sancho is not in. Eric Tommy's next guy I wanted to mention. So, they are at home, slight favorite. He's been awesome of late. I guess, when I say of late, I guess it's all relative, but before the league shut down for a little bit. But in his past 4, 14.2, 15.8, 21.3, 19.9, the 3 games he had a goal in each of them. So that does kind of skew those numbers, but does get a small set share out wide, likes to shoot. So I think that it's fair. In cash, though, I'd be much more drawn to the next 2. So Robert Skov, I think, is somebody I will likely be building around. So if you just look at his last 4, nothing jumps out at you, 7.5, 6, 17.5, and 9. But he does take almost all the sets for Hoffenheim. And if you go back further, you'll see a lot more of these double-digit games that do not involve a goal or assist, which, again, if you've known me for a while or you follow me, you know that I'm all about the floor and, what can I do to get guys that can get me double digits without scoring a goal, because then if they score a goal and an assist, we're rolling. So a lot of 9, 13.7, 15.7, 8.3. He did have 34 that included a goal and an assist, 10.4 without a goal or assist. So there is a lot of peripherals there with Skav, which, immediately it makes him a guy that I do really like to target. The next guy I think will be very popular, which is Kai Proger. So he is a dog away, but his floor has just been insane. So you got to take out this Bayern Munich game. Like, that's the best team in Germany versus, a scrub. So I'm going to pretend like that's not even there, because that's not what this type of matchup is. And we have 18.9 with assists, 12 with no goal or assist, 24.3 no goal or assist, 31.8 with an assist, 11.4 no goal or assist, 16.2 no goal or assist, 13.9 no goal or assist. You get the picture. Huge floor. 7,500 actually feels like a bit of a bargain. So I do think that makes a ton of sense in a cash lineup. If you are looking for GPP, if he's a fill-in, that's great. Or maybe you shoot for a little more upside, but I really like that play. Other forward eligible option, in between all this, there's a lot of goal scorers and like strikers and, wingers without sets, but I'm going to skip all over them. I do think that Harit at 4,600 for Schalke is worth considering at sub 5K. Has taken some sets, does have good pedigree in terms of somebody that, a lot of scouts and people have talked about in the past. I'm going to say his guy's name wrong, but it's Daniel Calgary is out and Harrett does start. That is more of a chance that he'll be on some sets. I'm going to jump into midfield now. I'm not going to go over anybody that was forward eligible because we've already talked with them. So the top of the list is I'm again going to say it wrong. I don't think it's Sabitzer. I think there's like a better pronunciation, but I'm just going to go Sabitzer because I'm American. 9,100 is insane for him. He is at that price because at the beginning of the season, he was taking a ton of sets and was putting up some massive games. He now plays centrally, has no sets. He absolutely can show up with a goal and probably will now that I said that 9,100 is insane for him. But there's no chance that he will be even close to my cash lineup. Maybe a GPP stack with Leipzig, but 9,100 with, as expensive as these forwards are, like, if you're making a Leipzig stack, there's no way you're doing without Werner. So, making a full lineup with Werner, Sabitzer, and some other guys is going to be really tough. So I don't think I'll be playing him. The top of the cash pool for midfield is Arnold. So Wolfsburg, again, it's really, really well organized. Arnold has had some great games, but they're not, for the most part, unless he scores a goal, we don't often see like massive games. So 12, 15.9 with an assist, 7.7 with an assist. That one actually is very scary. 6.8. But then, you have a goal and assist here of 29.9. So his floor perspective is probably in that like 8 to 10, 8 to 11 range. So you really do need to get a goal or assist for him to really pop off. Great player. If you go back, let me see where there's one. We do have 2 games in here. 2 games specifically back in December that do show that there could be a huge floor here. 27.3 for Schalke without a goal or assist, 25.2. I don't pretend to be a huge Wolfsburg fan. You should hit up Rubio Dimes or Roto Grinders for that. That's his club. But as long as Bracalo is there, I've seen him be taking a decent amount of the Wolfsburg sets and stealing from Arnold. It makes him less attractive to me, especially at the tag 8,400. If Sancho misses, Julian Brandt we might see come in for him. Where is he? 7,400. Has taken some sets in the past. Just a solid player. I think he'd be more so like in like a Dortmund stack versus just your one single exposure to him. I'd probably rather the wingbacks over him. Stoger at 6,800. So he has been in the last 3 games since I didn't do a lot of research beforehand. I don't know if it was out the injury or what that was, but the last 3 games has been where he's really started taking a ton of sets for them after a long absence. and has responded. He's had 3 assists in those games, but 27.6, 18.4, 14.1, 6,800 is a very fair play for a set guy. So a couple of guys that I've talked with, the next few plays are what's kind of tilting them. So DK decided to make a couple of these wingbacks that we've known for years as defender eligible, and they're only midfield. So let me just kind of give you my 2 cents on that. So while yes, I would love to have them at defender, it makes things a lot, more fun to build. You got to still think about their production and what they expect from you. So who I'm talking about is Hakimi, Angelino, and Guerrero. So if any of them were at defender, especially like Angelino, that would just be lock and load, no questions asked. Give me 12 to 15 from a defender spot, and I'm just stoked and ready to go. I would argue for low 6Ks, if I told you, just didn't tell you the name, but said, hey, I'll give you for 6,400 or 6,200, I'll give you a midfielder that has no lower than 12 DK and has 15 and has double digits in 5 straight games, and you could just give it to me, no questions asked. And then I'll tell you he's a wing back, and you're like, oh, well, he's not a central midfielder. I would rather have a wing back than a central midfielder. So to me, it's no issue, and it's why there's a good chance that I might have 2 of these guys in my cash build. So we're going to start off by price. Hakimi, so he's been awesome for Dortmund. The only thing that I don't love is that because Dortmund doesn't cross. He's not a huge crosser either, but he gets a lot of his stats from assists, from shots assisted, from even taking shots. He has 3 goals, 10 assists this season in 25 games. We go across his log. Let's look at the last 5, 11.8, 23, 16.2, 8.3, 19.7. Now, there's 1 goal and 4 assists in that time, but there are times that you just obviously need to still go, look, I'm shooting for goals and assists. And at 62,400, I think that's a lot different than when I was talking about those same guys at 8,800, 10,000 needing a goal or assist. So I think Hakimi is a really good play. Angelino may just end up being the best play of all these wingbacks, 6,200. So, if you didn't follow Angelino or don't know too much, he's always just been an offensive, just powerhouse for DFS purposes. Doesn't play much defense, but takes some sets. Crosses pretty much anything he can. So he's just a dream DFS play out at wingback for the biggest favorite. Again, if he was a defender, I think it would be awesome, but 6,200 in midfield, I had no problem with him at all. Guerrero is the other left wingback for Dortmund. Does take some sets, unlike Hakimi, but those are really the only crosses you'll see are from corners or from free kicks, but does have a little more goal threat in him than Hakimi, but also can oftentimes be a little less active. But 6,100 is a really solid price. Philip Max is the guy I think I'm going to struggle with the most come lock. First off, you need to look at where he lines up. So he's played a lot of fullback for Augsburg, and has also played advanced role. Additionally, like I told you, Wolfsburg is really, really well organized, really good defensive team. So it's not an easy matchup. At 5,900 for his upside for his set monopoly, that's going to be something that it's going to be a really struggle for me not to play him. Let's put it that way. Final guy I'll mention is Sebastian Rudy. There's no chance that I'm going to play this guy, but I think that there's a decent chance that you will see a lot of people with him because of his set share. I just think that if you get him in a game, he's not taking sets and, is playing his defensive role, he could really get screwed for 4,800. I'd rather find, another 1,100 or 1,400 to get to the wingbacks or max. Finally, defender. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I really do think that defender on this slate is going to be, lineup specific. 3 guys I want to point out. First off is Mittelstedt or Plattenhardt. I hope that I did not completely butcher those games, but they're no Dorita, who's been taking all of their sets. So likely whoever starts at left back or left wing back, depending on how they line up, is going to be on a decent majority or at minimum half the sets. And for the defender position, I really do like targeting that. So especially for their prices of 5,600 and 5,000. So be looking for them. Gunter is going to be getting a lot of looks and will probably get a lot of ownership. I'm scared to death of the play. Like, I get it. One other one I'm going to be struggling with, 5,100 majority of the sets for Freiburg. But Leipzig can really, like, if it's their day, can just suffocate another team at times. And we saw that versus Spurs. We've seen that in a few of the other games that they've just unloaded, 6-0 type of games. So I think if you have the salary and you're not having to make concessions anywhere else, it makes a lot of sense to just go ahead and plug in the highest points per game defender that's on some sets and plays as a wingback. But if we get a super value guy, there's a decent chance I won't have Gunter. Final defenders, look, favorites that are playing wingback or fullback are always where we're going to go. On DK, you really don't want to play these center backs unless you're just going for GPP, goal upside, or stacking it with your goalie. That's GPP strategies. I'm not going to be talking about that today. Finally, goalie. So you can pay up. Sure. I mean, you can pay up. Obviously, the Leipzig is the biggest favorite. I don't see any chance that I'm paying up. I'm going straight to the bottom. And I think I'm either going to be having Flecken from Freiburg, who will see very, very good chance that he might see 10 shots. So even if he concedes 2 or 3, I can still easily get, double-digit DK. And then Schubert, 39 from Schalke. As I'm talking more and more and having less and less likes towards Dortmund, I'm more and more thinking that might be where I go for goalie. Once again, should see a good amount of shots, which gives us the save upside to give us a floor. But you always got to remember, too, when you're picking these dog goalies, if you do get a guy that stands on his head and his team does pull the upset, you can have 24 to 30 DK. You rarely see that from a favorite. So there is a lot of upside in dogs as well. So that will do it for our DK breakdown. I'm not going to be giving my core plays on the pod and video. If you look in the link to join our Discord, I will be providing it there once lineups come out on Saturday morning. So I am going to just quickly touch on FanDuel before we get out of here. So with FanDuel now going from 3 points across, and them having chance, or before the break they had chance creation, which is 3 points. They now have gotten rid of chance creation. They've taken crosses to 0.5. So honestly, almost everybody that I mentioned for DK, because of sets, because DK now gives us crosses, but they give us shots assisted, they're not in play on FanDuel. FanDuel is literally about grabbing the goals. And for that, that makes me a ton less intrigued as mostly a cash and floor player to want to play there. So I think that Timo Werner is going to be a lock. Holland's ownership will be crazy, but I would probably be leaning towards just playing 4 strikers there and just trying to get as many goals as I can. At defender, fullbacks are worthless now with the cross situation. You want the clearances, which are worth double what a cross is worth. So you're going to look for center backs, likely from Schalke or from Freiburg, especially if you can get them for cheap. They will have the most blocks, chance for interceptions, and clearances to give you the best floor. And often, once again, they might be near the bottom pricing tag. The goalie, just do whatever. FanDuel normally rewards you more for the win and clean sheet. I think that's still 17. So, if you think that Leipzig's going to, win 3-0, go with him. If not, chase the saves. And that's probably all I got for you on FanDuel. I went from being super excited about it to really bummed out. I'll still have a core and probably toss, two into the $5, but that's probably it. All my volume is going to be on DK. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed this preview. Thank you so much for watching. Check us out this weekend. Soccer is free. Next weekend, there's a decent chance that all the the Discord and the chords will be behind the paywall again. We'll still be having a free preview like this. So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube or pod channel. If you're on YouTube, there's a link at the bottom. Thank you again for watching. Once again, Keith Jameson with FSI. And have a great day, guys. Good luck tomorrow.